The hidden physics behind Neanderthal precision and power during high-speed hunts. Imagine standing on a slippery, mud-slicked riverbank under a dark, bruised sky. You are not holding a leather baseball or a lightweight javelin. You are holding a heavy, dense oak spear that weighs over 2 pounds and measures nearly 7 feet in length. Wading through the freezing water 20 feet in front of you is a 600-pound fallow deer stag, its massive antlers thrashing as its hooves slip on the wet river rocks. The animal senses your presence, its eyes widening in sheer panic as it lunges forward to explode up the muddy bank. You do not have time to wind up for a long-distance throw. You do not have the luxury of standing safely 50 yards away in less than 2 seconds. This terrified, hyper-aggressive muscle machine will either trample you into the mud or escape into the thick brush. You step directly into its path. You lower your center of gravity, plant your feet deep into the freezing earth, rotate your broad shoulders, and drive the thick wooden shaft straight through thick hide, dense muscle, and solid rib bone into the animal's chest cavity with explosive speed and pinpoint accuracy. How did Neanderthals generate such terrifying physical force without shattering their own wrist bones, tearing their shoulder ligaments, or getting thrown backward by the momentum of a thrashing wild beast? What hidden laws of physics governed their lethal high-speed hunting encounters? For over a century, popular culture and early science painted Neanderthals as clumsy, slow, and mindless brutes who simply stumbled through the woods, swinging heavy sticks like caveman clubs. But modern paleoanthropology and advanced biomechanical physics have completely shattered that outdated myth. Neanderthals were not slow or imprecise. They were hyper-specialized, highly refined physical engines engineered by hundreds of thousands of years of natural selection to execute devastating, high-speed kinetic strikes at close range. To understand the hidden physics of Neanderthal hunting, we must first look at the raw structural architecture of their skeletons. When biomechanical engineers analyze a bridge, a crane, or a high-performance sports car, they start by looking at load-bearing capacity and lever arms. The exact same mechanical principles apply to the human body. Every bone in your body acts as a lever, every joint acts as a fulcrum, and every muscle acts as an engine that pulls on those levers to generate movement. If you compare the upper arm bone, known as the humerus of a modern human, to that of a Neanderthal, the differences are staggering. Neanderthal humeri possess extraordinarily thick cortical bone. Cortical bone is the dense, heavy outer wall of the bone that resists bending, twisting, and compression stresses, while modern human bones are relatively thin-walled and light, designed for energy efficiency during long-distance walking. Neanderthal bones were dense, thick-walled cylinders built like heavy industrial steel pipes. This structural density was not just a random trait. It was a direct biological response to the massive mechanical loads their muscles exerted on their joints during high-speed hunting maneuvers. The muscle attachment sites on Neanderthal arm bones, particularly the deltoid tuberosity on the side of the upper arm and the insertion points for the pectoralis major across the chest, were huge, rough, and deeply cratered. These enlarged attachment sites allowed massive muscle groups to anchor securely to the bone without tearing away during explosive contractions. Furthermore, Neanderthals possessed wide, flared shoulder blades and broad clavicles. In physics, a wider frame increases the moment arm of the chest and back muscles. A longer moment arm means that when a muscle contracts, it exerts far greater rotational torque around the shoulder joint. A Neanderthal did not just have larger muscles. Their entire skeleton was engineered to maximize mechanical leverage and force output. This fundamental biomechanical difference was rigorously demonstrated in groundbreaking research led by Dr. Stephen Churchill, a distinguished professor of evolutionary anthropology at Duke University. Dr. Churchill and his team conducted extensive experimental and skeletal analyses comparing the upper body force generation of Neanderthals and early modern humans. His research revealed that Neanderthal arm architecture was optimized for generating massive thrusting force and absorbing heavy impact shocks, rather than throwing lightweight objects over long distances. Dr. Churchill demonstrated that when a Neanderthal executed a two-handed power thrust with a heavy spear, the structural alignment of their shoulders, forearms, and wrists allowed them to deliver impact energy that far exceeded anything a modern human athlete could achieve without suffering severe joint trauma. To see how this mechanical advantage worked in practice, we have to examine the concept of the kinetic chain during a high-speed hunt. In biomechanics, a kinetic chain refers to the way different segments of the body link together to transfer energy from one part to another. When you throw a ball, energy starts in your legs as you push against the ground, travels up through your hips and core, accelerates through your chest and shoulder, and is finally delivered through your arm and fingers. If any single link in that chain is weak, energy leaks out, speed drops, and force vanishes. In a high-speed Neanderthal hunt, the kinetic chain worked in reverse during the moment of impact. When a hunter drove a heavy spear into a large animal, the energy did not just travel from the hunter into the prey. The equal and opposite reaction force, governed by Isaac Newton's third law of motion, traveled violently back up the wooden spear shaft and into the hunter's body. If a modern human tried to absorb that immense backward shock wave while holding a thick oak pole, their wrist joints would buckle, their shoulder cuff would tear, and their body would be thrown off balance. But a Neanderthal's broad chest, hyper-thick wrist bones, and wide scapulae acted as a massive biological shock absorber. Their broad torso dissipated the impact energy safely across their dense rib cage and core muscles, allowing them to remain rock solid on their feet while maintaining total control of the weapon. The precision required during these high-speed physical encounters was equally mind-blowing. Hunting a large, dangerous mammal at close range is not a matter of blindly stabbing into thick fur. You have a target window no larger than a dinner plate. If your spear strikes a heavy, flat rib bone head-on, the point will stop cold or glance off, alerting the animal and exposing you to a lethal kick or goring antler. To drop a 300-kilogram beast instantly, the weapon must enter the narrow gap between the ribs, piercing the heart or major pulmonary blood vessels. Achieving this level of precision while both you and the animal are sprinting across uneven, obstacle-strewn forest ground requires extraordinary neurological and visual processing. Direct archaeological proof of this high-speed precision was uncovered at the world-famous site of Neumark Nord near Halle in central Germany. In a landmark study published by Dr. Sabine Gaudzinski-Windhuser and her international research team, scientists analyzed the 120,000-year-old skeletal remains of ancient fallow deer discovered at the lake basin site. Using state-of-the-art microcomputed tomography scanning and ballistic microwear analysis, Dr. Gaudzinski-Windhuser identified precise, funnel-shaped puncture wounds in the pelvic and spinal bones of the deer. The microscopic fracture patterns proved that these lesions were created by wooden spears thrust at high velocity from very close range. The physical parameters of these bone lesions revealed something extraordinary. The entry angles proved that Neanderthal hunters approached the deer from an unexposed rear angle, executing a low trajectory thrust that drove the spear upward and inward into the animal's vital organs. The complete absence of glancing marks or secondary chipping around the entry holes proved that the weapon struck with absolute, unwavering stability. There was no wobbling, no hesitating, and no slipping. The spears were delivered with laser-like geometric accuracy at speeds estimated between 10 and 15 meters per second. This was not chaotic brute force. This was high speed. Surgical precision executed by elite ambush predators operating at the absolute limit of physical performance. To fully grasp the reality of this physical feat, let us reconstruct a concrete, high-intensity scene from 42,000 years ago in the dense spruce forests of the Valley of the Dordogne in southwestern France. Imagine you are a 28-year-old Neanderthal hunter standing motionless behind the thick trunk of a fallen oak tree. The air is damp and cold, smelling of crushed pine needles, wet loam, and frozen leaf litter. The forest is quiet, save for the soft drip of melting frost falling from the high canopy. You are wearing fitted animal hide wraps bound tightly around your waist, knees, and torso, keeping your core warm without restricting the movement of your broad shoulders. In your hands, you hold a smooth, 7-foot spear carved from the dense heartwood of a slow-grown spruce tree. The tip of the spear has been painstakingly fire-hardened and scraped to a razor-sharp point, polished smooth with river sand. You do not hold the spear like a javelin high above your shoulder. You hold it with both hands down near your hip, your leading left hand gripping the forward shaft for directional guidance, your powerful right hand locked around the base to act as the primary kinetic driver. You are crouched low, your massive quadriceps and wide calf muscles flexing as you support your center of gravity over the wet ground. Suddenly, the silence of the woods is shattered. A 70-kilogram roe deer stag comes crashing through the underbrush, flushed out by two other hunters positioned upstream. The stag is moving at top speed, its long legs bounding over mossy rocks and fallen branches in 10-foot leaps. It is moving laterally across your field of vision. Less than 15 feet away, you have less than 1 second to calculate its speed, trajectory, and angle of approach. You do not think in numbers or equations. Your brain processes the physical environment through decades of embedded spatial muscle memory. You explode out from behind the oak trunk. Your heavy feet plant firmly into the mud, driving ground force up through your legs. As the stag leaps into the air to clear a low bush, you step directly into its line of movement. You rotate your broad torso 45 degrees to the right, pulling your rear shoulder back like a compressed heavy steel spring. As the stag's front hooves touch the ground, you launch your body forward. Your core muscles snap back to center. Your broad chest compresses, and your right arm drives the heavy wooden spear forward in a blinding horizontal line. The fire-hardened point strikes the stag precisely in the soft muscle tissue between the 6th and 7th ribs. The force of the impact is tremendous. The animal's kinetic energy, pushing forward, collides directly with your kinetic energy, driving inward. But your dense arm bones and wide shoulder blades absorb the shock effortlessly. The spear penetrates deep into the thoracic cavity, severing the primary arteries. The stag's legs collapse instantly under the sudden loss of blood pressure, and the heavy carcass slides through the wet leaves to a complete stop against your boots. The entire encounter, from the moment you stepped out from behind the tree to the animal's final breath, took less than 3 seconds. You stand over your prey, your broad chest heaving in the cold air, holding the wooden shaft with absolute stability. You have just executed a masterpiece of high-speed biological physics. This brings us to a profound, counterintuitive scientific question that completely transforms our understanding of human evolution. If Neanderthals were so exceptionally powerful, so physically precise, and so masterfully adapted to close-range hunting physics, why did your scrawny, thin-boned sapiens ancestors ultimately survive while Neanderthals vanished from the earth? Why did evolution trade away raw physical power and devastating impact mechanics in favor of lighter, weaker bodies? The breakthrough answer lies in the fundamental physics of metabolic cost and distance mechanics. Research by paleoanthropologists like Dr. Jill Rhodes has shown that while Neanderthals were unrivaled in close-range force output, their massive muscle mass and heavy bone density came with a staggering energy price tag. An adult Neanderthal hunter required up to 4,000 to 5,000 calories per day just to maintain their hyperdense body tissue and power their high-intensity hunting style. In a stable, rich environment filled with megafauna, this metabolic investment paid massive dividends. But during periods of rapid, chaotic climate change, when animal populations thinned out and forests shrank into open, barren plains, getting close enough to thrust a spear into an animal became nearly impossible. Your sapiens ancestors, by contrast, evolved a completely different physical strategy based on projectile physics. Sapiens possessed lighter bones, narrower torsos, and highly specialized shoulder joints that allowed for high-velocity overhead throwing. Instead of stepping into the dangerous impact zone of a thrashing animal, sapiens invented tools like the spear thrower, or atlatl, and later the bow and arrow. An atlatl acts as an external extension of the human arm, dramatically increasing the lever arm length and allowing a lightweight dart to be launched at speeds exceeding 80 miles per hour from a safe distance of 30 or 40 yards. Sapiens traded raw force for mechanical velocity. They traded heavy, close-range impact physics for long-distance kinetic energy. A lightweight dart thrown with an atlatl does not rely on the hunter's muscle mass to kill the animal. It relies on stored elastic energy and aerodynamic stability to carry lethal force across open terrain. This technological shift allowed sapiens to hunt with far lower metabolic costs and drastically reduced injury rates, while Neanderthal skeletons are littered with healed fractures and severe head traumas that mirror the injuries of modern rodeo riders, a direct consequence of wrestling. Large animals at close range. Sapiens skeletons show far fewer signs of violent physical trauma. Sapiens survived not because they were stronger, but because they used mechanical tools to bypass the terrifying physical demands of close-range hunting altogether. When you reflect on this epic evolutionary divergence in your everyday modern life, the connections are both fascinating and deeply grounding. Today, we live in a world where physical force is rarely required for daily survival. We push buttons, tap touchscreens, and sit in ergonomic chairs, completely detached from the intense mechanical demands that shaped our ancestors' bodies. Yet, the deep laws of physics that governed Neanderthal hunting still reside within your biological makeup. Every time you watch an athlete execute a powerful physical movement, every time you feel the solid impact of a heavy object, and every time your body instinctively absorbs a shock or adjusts its balance on an uneven surface, you are utilizing the exact same kinetic principles that kept hominins alive for hundreds of thousands of years. We often look back at ancient humans as primitive relics of a forgotten past, assuming that modern technology makes us vastly superior in every conceivable way. But when you look through the objective lens of biomechanics, you realize that Neanderthals were not flawed prototypes of modern humans. They were magnificent, hyper-engineered masters of close-range physical power creatures whose every bone, joint, and muscle was finely tuned to execute high-speed, lethal precision in the wildest environments the Earth has ever known. You stand in the modern biomechanics laboratory once again, watching the infrared tracking software process another pitch on the computer monitor. The digital skeleton on the screen flexes, rotates, and resets its position in a smooth, continuous loop of light. You step away from the desk, look out the window at the bustling city streets below, and smile softly to yourself. You realize that your thin, flexible modern body, your ability to throw objects with effortless velocity, and your reliance on clever mechanical tools are not accidental traits. They are the living results of an ancient evolutionary choice, a choice that favored long-distance agility over raw physical mass. You feel a deep, quiet respect for those broad-shouldered, dense-boned hunters who once sprinted through the freezing Ice Age forests, wielding heavy spruce spears with unmatched precision and power. And as you walk down the hallway, listening to the soft rhythm of your own footsteps, you carry with you a newfound appreciation for the extraordinary, hidden physics that engineered the human story.